After months and months and months and years of so many teams being linked to this player, especially with Liverpool. I know Liverpool have been linked to this player and they wanted him to come to the club for so long, but eventually they went for Ryan Gravenberch, who, don't get me wrong, is a very good player who has helped Liverpool win a title. They've been linked to him nonetheless, and I know he's been linked to Madrid and Barcelona and so many teams across Europe. But now we can comfortably say that Martín Zubimendi has officially signed for Arsenal. He's got the 36 shirt, he's signed on a 5-year contract, and he is signed on a fee of around 55 to 60 million pounds. He's arrived. The guy has finally arrived at Arsenal Football Club. It was announced in January, so I don't know if I should be extremely happy about that, because if you were announced in January, you know, maybe you could have got him then, or maybe he could have come a little bit earlier. But you know what? He's here, he's arrived, he's finally an Arsenal player, and he replaces Thomas Partey and Jorginho. People say that he's basically a Jorginho regen, in the sense that he's Jorginho but with legs, with more youth and more ability to provide Arsenal over the next coming years. Essentially, some of the things about Zubimendi, and I think we all know that, is that he is a sixth over the amount of sixes that Arsenal bought in the past. Guys like Declan Rice, Thomas Partey, Jorginho, so many sixes Arsenal bought, but apparently this is the guy to sort out the puzzle finally. He's a deep line playmaker, he's good at intercepting passes, reading the game, and he's good at initiating build up from the back. All good things that Arsenal want in terms of formation and the tactics. And the thing is with Zubimendi, if we were to compare him to say someone like Thomas Partey, he's seen as more as a fit for Arsenal in terms of just his play style. Because if we were to look at the season where Arsenal got the most amount of points, with 89 points in the 23-24 season, it was mainly Jorginho that was there, that was allowing people like Odegaard and Rice to be free and to get the goals and so on and so forth. So with Zubimendi, we can assume that he will take Arsenal to that next level. Obviously, replacing Thomas Partey. Partey was immense last season. I know there's been a lot of things going on, which I will discuss in a video coming up. However, with Zubimendi coming in, he will be a good, adequate replacement for Thomas Partey, in my opinion. Hopefully, we never know, but based on him being one of the top passers in Europe, one of the best passers in Europe, we can come to a good assumption that he'll be pretty good for Arsenal. So in terms of ball retention under pressure, he's good at keeping composure, and he passes with 84 to 86% accuracy, and he does high progressive passes with a low disposition rate. In terms of defensive intelligence, he's got 2.3 tackles per match, 1.4 interceptions, 1.3 blocks, and he's really good at aerial duels. Now that's something that Arsenal love, Arteta loves, Nikolova loves, in terms of set pieces and corners and those sorts of things. He will be good for being the guy in front of the Arsenal centre backs and providing that extra defense, the extra protection per se. So how does he help Arsenal's midfield? Well, Odegaard and Saka are going to do so much more. Hopefully, Odegaard, I can predict, will score a hell of a lot more goals next season. That I'm confident in, and I believe in Odegaard can do that. Declan Rice, we all know he was brought into Arsenal. We all thought he was going to be a 6, but he's been playing as an 8 in the last couple of seasons. So maybe with Zubimendi's signing, he will allow Rice more freedom to go forward and to make more of those runs and be more of a threat going into the box and be that box crasher per se. And because Zubimendi is Spanish, he has Basque ties, we have bought so many players from Sociedad as of late, guys like Odegaard, guys like Marino, and he will obviously add to the Basque ties and the Basque connections to Arsenal essentially. So he will adapt quite well. Now, some of the risks is that he's not really a goal scoring midfielder. He's scored 2 goals, 2 assists in about 30 plus games in the La Liga matches. He's undersized, but compared to other top Premier League midfielders, as I know a lot of people have been complaining about Arsenal constantly signing basketball players and having 6-foot+ players, but you know what? We finally have a player that's undersized. So all those Arsenal fans that are complaining, you can be quiet now. We have an undersized player, yeah? So just chill. And in terms of his long passing, he can occasionally overhit it. But the thing is that not every player is going to be 100% with all their passes. Sometimes you can occasionally overhit the ball here and there. But unless your name is Xavi or Iniesta, it can happen to the best of us. And in terms of passing, he is one of the best in Europe. So overall, some of the good things is that tactical intelligence, positioning, defensive consistency, and passing under pressure, these are all of the things that will help Arsenal. And in terms of his discipline, he's only had 5 yellow cards in 32 matches, which is pretty good. We all know with Arsenal and referees, that's going to be a different story. He might have more yellow cards, but in terms of discipline, he is pretty good as well in terms of yellow cards and etc. In a 4-3-3, he will help Arsenal allow Rice and Odegaard to go forward and provide that defensive shape, so that's great. In a 4-2-3-1, if Arteta decides to put Zubimendi and Rice in a pivot, that's also something they can do. He replaces the ongoing veterans. I know that there's been a lot of links with Norgard, so if Norgard comes in, both of those players will provide more of a younger element to Arsenal because Jorginho and Partey were aging, so it brings more youth in the sense, and I think both of those players may suit Arsenal more on the tactical side, on the formations as well, especially because with Thomas Partey, like I said as before, maybe Zubimendi fits more into Arsenal's system compared to Partey, which is why especially they brought in Jorginho. So in terms of boosting the press and tempo, it fits Arsenal's high tempo style, and he will lead the cohesion of the team essentially. So he will really fit into Arsenal. In terms of his age, he is around 26 years old. He signed a 5-year contract. He will be around the same age as Declan Rice and Kai Havertz and Martin Odegaard, so all of them will be around between the 25 to 27 age group, so ideally he fits the curve. In terms of statistical comparison, in terms of tackles and interceptions, so compared to Rice and Partey, he's lower, but in terms of progressive passes, he's just a bit under Jorginho, but he'll be the best progressive passer compared to Rice and Partey. In terms of pass accuracy, he's on 87%, and in terms of ball recoveries, he's at 9.2, so he will just be under Rice in terms of ball recoveries. And in terms of how he fits compared to everyone else, we'll just have to wait and see how he adapts to the Premier League, because that's going to be one issue in terms of how he'll be able to adjust to how the Premier League is in terms of its fast pace. Now, compared to Jorginho, he's younger, more mobile, better defensively, and he has a similar vision to Jorginho. In terms of Partey, he's more disciplined, he'll be more available, and he won't be injured as much compared to Partey, hopefully. And he is an upgrade because of, in terms of his tactical intelligence, durability, defensive positioning, and age profile and resale value. So if things don't work out, he's 26 years old, we could possibly resell him in the next 2 to 3 years. So that could be something in itself. So if we were to look at some of the other players, is he as good as, say, someone like Rodri? Now, don't get me wrong, Rodri has started for Spain while Zubimendi has been the backup. Rodri is still top of the pecking order in terms of CDMs and sixes, but in terms of how well he'll be able to fit the system for Arsenal, he's the best available option that Arsenal can get. So if this is the best that Arsenal can get, then that is, all Arsenal can do essentially. Rodri is the gold standard, but Zubimendi is similar. He isn't as good as Rodri, but he will be able to do a lot for Arsenal. He's an upper tier player essentially. But yeah, those are my thoughts on our new number 36. That is a weird number to have. I thought he'd have, I don't know, number 6 or something like that, but he's here, he's at Arsenal. All I can do is hope that he will help us win the Premier League or potentially the Champions League next season, because after 5 to 6 years of this process, we need to see something now. And I think with Zubimendi, he'll be able to provide a lot, and I think he'll be a good signing for us to cap it all off. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Please like and subscribe. This is what I think about Zubimendi. I think he fits Arsenal well, and hopefully he will be able to help us throughout this entire season. But yeah, that's the end for this video. Hope to see you soon in the next vid. Bye bye.